Hey guys, welcome back again. And in this video, we'll be looking into server-side rendering. Okay, so this is a three video series. The first series covering the client-side rendering and the basics phases involved in React rendering. So if you haven't watched it yet, do watch it. I'll be linking it in description as well as this I button. Okay, and then right now we'll be learning about server-side rendering. Okay, and then we'll go to server components. Okay, this is a really interesting topic, and then I'm damn sure that this would be a game changer in React, and then I really want you guys to be in sync as well. Okay, so let's learn about server-side rendering today. So you guys know about client-side rendering, right? So how the React works on the client side and what happens and everything. So all those things is fine, but the issue there was that the browser was doing in one extra thing. Okay, one extra additional step that it is not good at. Okay, that is generating HTML page. This was one of the extra steps that the browser was doing that it was not good at. Okay, browser was good at updating DOM. Browser was good at checking the difference between the virtual DOM and the real DOM, updating it and everything. I mean, React was doing it, but it was inside the browser. It was really good. Okay, it can handle all those load. But generating HTML page, you might ask me, what do you mean by generating HTML page? Remember one thing. So if this is your application, and then you have navbar and then some components here and here. Okay, so you write navbar in a different file, and this in a different file, this in a different file, this in a different file, basically these different components, and then you get all those things into a file, right? A page file, and React will render that. So React has to gather all these components, assemble them, and then display it on the UI. In order to do that, it has to generate an HTML page, right? So this HTML generation was not that good in the browser. It's not efficient in the browser. Okay, so what was the solution? What if we move only this step to the server? Okay, what if we move this into the server? Why server? Why was the server a choice here? Because server is powerful, right? Server has this enormous amount of RAM. Server has this enormous amount of processing power. Server has many other stuff, right? It can do this task in a jiffy. I mean, think about it, guys. Server is the one who handles calculations, right? If you go for, if you talk about some machine learning models and everything, they have like a huge data set, right, to process. Server does that. Have you ever heard a person who says that they are processing a million rows of data set in a browser? Of course not. You cannot do that, right? Because browser has limited access to memory and everything. Browser has only so much amount of compute power within it, and it needs to function as well, so it will use some of it. So you need server for that. In case of server, you can just generate the HTML page way faster than the browser. So what SSR does is, SSR means server-side rendering. What happens is, you request a server here. Let's say you request a page for the browser. Let's say this is a browser. You request a page. Initially the page won't be available. So what does React do? It will show you the loading screen. It will say it's loading. Hold on. Okay, so you'll be like, okay, it's loading, let's wait. Okay, in that time, in that duration, what React will do is it will make an API call. So React will make an API call. Okay, it will make an API call to the server. So let's say this is a server that is somewhere around the globe. We'll get an API call from the server. Then what happens is this server will get the API. It will start reading the API call. So in that API call, we'll have details like I need dashboard, and I need for this particular user, and this is the user ID. All those stuff. We'll have the user ID. We'll have the component name. We'll have some component details as well. So the server will get that details, and then it will check what are the components that are required for this dashboard. So this dashboard needs all the components that are required here. I mean, the server will get all the components, it will assemble them, and then it will generate the HTML page. Okay, it will generate the HTML, including CSS and JavaScript as well. Okay, basically when I mention HTML page, it generates CSS as well, or else you won't get any styles. Okay, so it generates the HTML, and then that will be sent as the response to the browser again. So we'll make an API call here. This is a request. Okay, and then this is the response. We get HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file. So now what? The browser gets the ready-made HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So what does it has to do? It has to show that HTML page, And if the user is clicking a button and change the state, it has to just update, render, and then commit. That's all it has to do, which it does really good. So browser is really good at updating DOM. So if you tell browser, hey, you just update the DOM, I'll take care of the rest, then of course the browser will be really happy to do that, and it will just handle everything pretty well. So here, once you move the the HTML generation part to the server, browser becomes way more powerful. Browser becomes way more efficient in performance basically. Okay, so now you won't see the loading screen because you got the response back. You would see the application. So you would see the nav bar here, and then you would see some other components. Okay, all the other components that was basically sent back to you. Okay, this is what known as server-side rendering. Okay, but is this all? Just for moving the API, the HTML generation part, did we basically sit and brainstorm a concept like this, and then the React developers and Next.js developers go through so many stuff, or go through so many steps just to implement this? What, just to generate an HTML page? Isn't that, that it's not so believable, right? So not only that. So next year, these developers thought something else. What if we move this HTML generation part to the server? In addition to that, what if we bring some more features to it, right? Connecting to the database, making a call, connecting to a cache server, and then making a call to the processor, making a call to the memory. What if these things are possible? Your application can become even more powerful, isn't it? Because right now you're basically accessing a server to generate your HTML page, and if it's a server, you have access to processor, you have access to file system, you have access to database. You can connect to database, right? You can connect to cache. You can do so many things from server. So that's where a lot of possibilities was exposed. Like basically people started seeing all these opportunities, all these potential use cases for server-side rendering. And that's where we got few more server-side functions that we can run in order to leverage these particular features. So what are these features I'm talking about? So by default, if you use Next.js, right? Let's say I have an example here in StackBlitz. So this is the Next.js example. Okay, I'll link this code base in the description as well. So by default, you can see I'm exporting a home page, home.js, index.js. So by default, this will be rendered on the server only. Okay, this is rendered on the server and it is sent back to the browser. So if I say hey here, save it, and if I refresh the page, you see hey, right? So basically this HTML page was generated over the server, and then this was sent to the browser. So it's fine. But what if I want to do something here? What if I want to connect to a database? What if I want to make an API call from the server, get the data, and then show that here on the browser? Again, I'm going to repeat again. What if I want to make an API call from the server, not from the browser, from the server, and then get the data, from the server, generate the HTML from the server, and then display it here? How can I do that? So there's a facility for that. So here it is, get server side props. So again, what does it do? It is getting a props, okay, from server. That's all. Okay, so basically you run a function on the server. You write this function. I'm going to copy this. You just basically search for get server side props. The reason I copy is because so that I don't miss any spelling. I don't make any spelling mistake. That's the reason I copy every time. And then we paste it here. Okay, first you have to export your function, and then you have to paste it here. Okay, and then make sure the name is exactly similar, and even the return structure as well. Okay, please do not alter them. Please do not change them, or else it won't work. Okay, now you save it. Okay, once you save it, nothing happens. Everything will be normal. Nothing's gonna happen. Okay, so now you can see here in the code I have a console log of props. So I'm console logging the props, and also I'm console logging the props here as well, page props. This basically logs all the props you pass for all the page. I'm going to remove this for now, we don't need it. Okay, in index.js you can see we are console logging the props. Now here also you can notice we have props in the return. So what's happening here? So basically this function, right, server side props, right, this will run on the server. So if a user is requesting for this home page, the server will run this function first. If you have like a database connection or a cache connection, whatever you want to do, you can do it here. The server will do all those steps for you, and then you have to return like this. This is the only format you can return. Okay, you should not return something else. Okay, so you can return props. Okay, so then let's say we'll pass a prop. We'll say status testing. Okay, and if I save it, this status testing, right, this prop will be passed here, and then the HTML page for this will be generated. Now if I you can see here, right, this terminal, did you see any log called status testing? No. The reason is the browser doesn't know that we have made a update over the code, right? But if I right now it's only updating the DOM, because that's what React does, right? It updates only the DOM. It doesn't know that we have a change in the server side code. But if I refresh, React makes an API call again, a fresh new API call. Then the server generates a fresh HTML page. Then we get this console log. You can see right now, right? Then we get this console log, status testing. Okay, so if I refresh again, see, I get another record, status testing. So basically this is being logged on the server. But if this was logged on the browser, you would get it here in the inspect console, right? You would get it here on the console if it's a browser log. But since it is a server side log, you're getting it here on the server, okay, in the server console. Okay, now how do I make an API call? So we will actually install a package. How do we install package here? Is this how? I think you can directly write a query here. Yes, I think I can directly say, are they using npm? Yes, npm install Axios. Okay, we'll install Axios because this API call is being made on the server side, so fetch might not work there. Okay, we'll install Axios. So hold on, it's installing. Okay, everything is installed. So we'll run the server again. So I'm gonna say run the server. Okay, server is running. Okay, so here what we'll do is I'm gonna make a call to Rick and Morty API. So this is a Rick and Morty API. Okay, Rick and Morty API, and then I'm gonna go to docs. So this is the I'm gonna get all the characters. So we'll get all the character list. So I'm gonna copy this URL, rickandmortyapi.com/api/characters. I'll actually use a URL here, URL, paste it, and then we'll make an API call. Okay, I'm gonna say const results equals await Axios. You have to import Axios. Import Axios from Axios. Okay, right, and then what we'll do is we'll pass an object. We'll say method. This will be a get method since we're just getting the data, and the URL would be this one. Okay, and then there's no data, you're just getting it, right? So save it, and then let's console log the results. So I'm going to say console.log results.data. Okay, so now you can see we already got the log. So if I scroll up, and you can see we have a lots of data coming in, right? We have basically 20 data something. So we'll just pass that here. So I'm going to just say characters equals results.data. Okay, now this will be passed here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to map them. So here I'm going to say props dot characters, we'll copy this, it's it here, dot map character. We'll just return character's name. So I'm gonna say character dot name. Okay, characters map is not a function. Okay, props characters, right? It is characters, but dot map is not a function. What does that mean? Let's see. I think it has, oh yeah, it should be results. Data dot results. Sorry, it should work now. It's not working again. What can be the issue? Info and results It's correct. Let's console log this. Oh, okay. I'm changing it here, but not here. Arre, why is it still failing? Dot map. It says it's not a function. Let's console log that here in the props here. Console dot log. It's pretty weird. Props. Save it. There you go. But how does it working now, by the way? I think it was the data was not available for that. So if I refresh now, it should work. Yeah. Oh, maybe it was not updating. I think I should have refreshed the page, right? It was not updating it. But now we can see we're getting all the data, right? We can see we're just putting up all the name of the particular character from Rick and Morty. All right, so now you're able to see it, right? So this is how the server-side rendering works. So you can run any logic that you guys want. You can actually like connect to DB here. You can do any sort of magic that you guys want. So basically the possibilities are endless. That's what I'm saying. Oh, it's magic. Sorry. So that's what I'm trying to say. And you can actually do many things here. So by default, everything in Next.js is server-side rendered, and you basically use this function to run your own logic on the server, and this will be executed on the server, and then the page will be rendered, and this will run only once. And if you want to rerun it again, you have to refresh the page. Okay, basically you have to make a fresh API call to that. Okay. So I hope you guys were able to understand this server-side rendering, guys, and the next video would be about server components. If you have any doubts about these two concepts, do let me know. You can drop a message on the comment, or you can join our Discord and then directly connect with me. I'll be happy to help you out there. Okay, so with that said, thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.